works against the fitrah. And that's where the problems begin. Allah created His fitrah. He created man to be situated upon his fitrah. If we're experiencing discomfort, if we're experiencing disease, if we are experiencing those things that keep us uncomfortable in this life, it is because we have veered away from the original fitrah. Let us continue. So we were talking about that word educe in terms of education. And it's our number one priority. Educe again means to bring out. How did they know that? Where did they get these words? Europe just recently came into civilization. Now all of a sudden, out of England and out of these other places that have established the English language, all of a sudden they have all of these high ideas in language. Where did they get it? They got it from studying the Quran. Y'all didn't hear me. They got this information that has been responsible for maintaining human excellence and civilization on earth. They got it from studying the pages of the Quran, from the mouths of Muslim scholars that taught them so well that a European Renaissance was born out of what they used to call the Dark Ages. A European Renaissance. They call it the Enlightenment period. If you study the period of the Enlightenment, 12th century, 13th century, 14th century, and then study a dictionary that gives you the years in which certain words came into vogue. Certain words were invented in Europe. Same period. And most of those words were related to the sciences. So we're talking about a word like educe. They got it from the Arabic term dasa. Now you might not be familiar with that term. Those of you who study Arabic, maybe you are. Dasa means he buried a thing. He buried a thing. It's also where we get the English word dust. Dust, created from dust. Right? So to educe, E means to bring out. That letter E in English means to bring out. To bring out what? The deuce. That which was buried. Okay? So educe means to bring out that which was lying dormant in the human being. Lying dormant where? In the genes. The intelligence that Allah had already laced throughout the genetics. To bring it out. To leave it dormant is to leave it dead. To leave it buried. And that is the strategy that Shaitan has been using for all of these years that he's been allowed to do his thing. He had to cut us off from whatever influence would have been responsible for bringing that native intelligence out of us. And that influence is the fitrah. Now let's explain fitrah. And we're not going to be that long. Alhamdulillah. I hope everyone is comfortable. Good. We came a long way to talk to you today.
We appreciate you, brother.
Alhamdulillah. Praises be to Allah. Thank you. Fitrah does not just mean nature. It alludes to nature, but in this proportion. Fitrah means the natural patterns that exist within the context of anything in natural creation, all things in creation. So the clouds have a particular pattern. They have a particular behavior, if you will. They have a particular form that we identify as clouds. And they also have a particular function. And understanding fitrah is to understand both form and function. You could understand the human being as a creature of form, but not understand how human beings work. You don't have the whole picture related to the fitrah. So the word fitrah is what produced the English word pattern. When you understand linguistics, you'll understand that the letters F and P are called labials. That means consonants that are pronounced with the lips, by using the lips. If everyone would just say F, top teeth hit the bottom lip, right? Now say P, Lips come together, right? Another letter, B, labial. V, labial. M, labial. You understand? So they determined that in linguistics that these consonants that were formed into certain groups could be interchangeable. That's why in Latin, the word for father, which in English begins with F, begins with a P in Latin, pater. That's where we get the word paternal. Okay? All right? So, Fitra produced the word pattern. You see the P in pattern, the T in pattern, and the R. Those are the letters that are used. In Fitra, you have the F, you have the T, and you have the R. In Fitra. Fa, Ta, Ra. You understanding? All right, yeah, we're in class today. I'm taking my time. All right? All right, so, again, these European thinkers were smart enough to take note from Muslims who were not in Europe. And remember, this began basically during the reign of Muslims in Spain. Hundreds of years before the European Renaissance. And culminated with the European Renaissance, the Enlightenment period. These Europeans, and Al-Islam had went into every conceivable country that existed at that time in Europe, not just Spain. They say the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. That was a tribute to Muslims. The rain they were talking about was R-E-I-G-N. The rule in Spain stayed mainly in the plain, yes, among the common people. Because we were sharing the information with the common people. Yeah, and the reign of revelation stayed mainly not up here on the mountain, but in the valley with the common people. That was their tribute. Sincere Europeans, that was their tribute to Islam and to the Quran and to the life of Mohammed. They don't teach us these things in school. So we have to learn them on our own and teach it to ourselves.
Right.
All right. So we spoke about intelligence, the internal communication among the genes. They have us confusing this word with the word intellect. Imam Mohammed spoke on that word very often. Human intellect. Now, what is the difference between the intellect and the intelligence? If you look it up in the dictionary, they put them together as one definition. They are not the same. Intelligence, again, is that information which Allah has clocked into your very DNA fabric. Whereas the intellect represents all of those things that your five senses have been turned on to since birth. That come from the culture, the outer environment. So let's look at this word, intellect. Internal, I-N-T, election. E-L-L-E-C-T. They gave it an extra L. The intellect is that which takes information in from the environment and then decides. It makes an internal choice. What is going to hold on to? What is going to utilize? What is good for itself? What is not good for itself? What is it going to keep? What is it going to throw away in terms of information? That's what the intellect is designed to do. So you see the difference. Now here's a major difference. The intelligence and the knowledge that is contained within the intelligence is native. It's your property. It's what Allah gave you. Allah gave the human being everything that that human being needed to survive as a newborn infant. It's already clocked into the genes. How to act, how to respond. But the intellect is different. Because the intellect is dependent on information coming from the environment, if the environment is hostile to the native intelligence, now you have a problem. If the environment is signaling information that is counterproductive to the native intelligence that Allah clocked into your DNA fabric, now the human being is in trouble. And Shaitan has done his best to create an environment or a culture that would reflect his wicked schemes. He said, I'm going to come